Welcome. Howdy doody. Here's a little story I think you might find a little bit humorous. At least I did. At the time it was really funny. But anyway, I'm working on this great big building, and I'm working with this guy who's happens to have the same sense of humor I do. He sort of thinks the same way I do as well. He was married, but his wife left him when their son was born disabled, and after about a year his wife left him, and that was it. She didn't want anything to do with him, so he didn't have a great outlook for women, but he still dated them as such, just didn't get really involved with them. But anyway, that's not the story. The story is that this brickie came to do some brickwork there, and we got talking to him, and he liked to talk. And he was telling us this story. Well, it wasn't a story, it was a true story about him. And what happened, he was working on this great big building somewhere, and something broke or something, and it made him fall through the skylight of this back of the building. And he landed on his back, broke his back, and it was very serious. They said he probably would never walk again or whatever, and he was in traction for ages and everything else, but eventually it worked out that he did obviously walk again, but it took an awful long time for him to recover, right? And eventually I guess one of the company or whatever gave him a lump sum for that. It wasn't enough to retire or anything, but it was quite a fair bit of money. So anyway, so he's telling us this story, and this is the guy, what we call is a lifer. He's a lifer, right? That means he got married from school pretty well, and he's been married to the same woman. I mean, this guy wasn't a young man. He was getting on in years. So he'd been married for many, many, many years. But he said to us, so he said when he got the check, his wife picked the check up, and she looked at him and said, "You know what you need? A damn good holiday." Right? And now I don't know. I mean, and they apparently she booked one of those boat trips, those major ocean liners where you have stops every day and you have to get off and go off and do everything every day, huggly-buggly every day. And that's just what he needed, isn't it, really? And we and my mate were sitting there and trying not to laugh. I don't know how we did it. But when he went away, we just rolled up. His wife saying, what you need is a damn good holiday. But what she needed was the damn good holiday. But he couldn't see that. Okay, he's one of those lifers, So that me and my friend laughed about that for about 3 or 4 days. It was really funny. But also another thing he said was that his wife's car was a fairly brand new car he got her, but she didn't like it or something. So he got another brand new car instead. And then we looked at his van. It's a work van, I know, but it was so old. It had Bondo all over it, where he's trying to fix it up, I guess. But there she's driving around some fancy dancy car, and he's got this old banged up truck for work. I mean, really, does this man not know he's being screwed to the floor? And he probably will die being married and being screwed to the floor. This is just a funny thing me and my friend thought was very funny at the time. Right? I don't know what you think it's funny, but I still think it's pretty funny.